Good morning, everybody. Stu Smith here, going live. I hope you guys are well today. Happy Monday. And the title of this show is called No Energy to Exercise. Try exercise. Now, that is a very simplistic answer, but it's very much true because it is tied into fuel and what exactly fuel is, right? I think a lot of us think energy comes from caffeine, from an energy drink or a source of coffee. Actually, it's just taking away your feeling of being tired, not giving you energy. So, my advice for you, if you really want energy to train, eat something with energy in it: carbohydrates, calories, protein, fat, real foods give you real energy, right? But exercise will too. Exercise will wake you up, make you feel a little bit better, and get you into the groove of finishing a workout, right? Sometimes all it takes is a 10-minute warm up to completely change the way you feel about exercising that day or that morning, first thing in the morning. Um, but it's a circle, right? Think of it this way: if you don't sleep well, you're probably not going to feel like getting up early and exercising, right? If that's the case, eat something better for you to give you some energy now, not a big jolt of caffeine that just artificially jacks up your heart rate, makes you feel like you're anaerobic before you even start doing anything. But it's the three-part cycle of sleep, fuel, food, and exercise. Those three together are going to make you better at keeping the habit of exercise. So when people tell me they just don't have the energy to exercise, I say, well, let's think about your sources of energy. Where are they? Once we find out that they're eating like crap and they're not sleeping very well, that's 2/3 of that three-legged table, right? Those aren't working. You really need to try to do something. It's almost kind of like, you didn't sleep well overnight and you feel like taking a nap at like 10 in the morning, but if you take a nap or a nap in the afternoon, you're going to sleep like crap in the evening. So you almost have to push through it, whether that's being awake so you sleep better at night or pushing through a workout even though you don't feel like it. Those are just ways to not only just keep a habit or build a habit, but for you to also get a little tougher, right? I mean, that's really what it's all about. Whether that is waking up early and working out even though you don't feel like it and you do it anyway. I mean, that's a scoop of mental toughness that goes a long way. Um, Not only for that day, but for the rest of your life, right? It really will. It will make you more resilient, more adaptable to stress. So you might think it's a little thing, but it's huge. So get to it, get moving. If you tell me you don't have energy, let's figure out why you don't have energy. It's probably one of those three reasons right there, right? Hydration, electrolytes, just as important. And I'll tell you this, another way to build mental toughness, and I'm working on a mental toughness course right now. Probably a 10-part series I'm working on. Another one that is extreme weather, right? Doesn't have to be crazy extreme. Like, I don't recommend you going out in a lightning storm doing anything, but you know, when it's in the 20s and 30s, that kind of sucks, right? If it's in the 90s, 100, humid, that sucks too, right? Every step you take out there is going to get you a little tougher. I promise you. All right, so this is all about taking in questions. You guys send me questions, I'll answer them. Tomorrow, I'll have some videos to also critique with you guys. Got a bunch of them submitted already. Um, and there'll be more swimming critiques tomorrow. Same time, 9-ish, and we'll get on it. A couple questions. Donald says, any thoughts on kettlebell mace workouts? Yeah, I like them. I got tons of kettlebells, and we use them regularly. I do have a mace. We haven't really gotten into using that as much. Though I will say I like it for warm ups, especially if I'm doing some lifting. Just throw around the mace in some big circles and do stuff like that. But I will say this: I have been using the mace almost like a sledgehammer and hitting a tire with it. So you can use it for that reason too. But yeah, I think they're fine. I mean, it's work. You know, hardest part of a workout is getting there. I would agree with that. Once you're there, it's like, all right, let's get doing it. I work 3.5-hour shifts. Should I still be trying? I'm sorry, 3 12-hour shifts. Should I be trying to work out those days or be resting? Yeah, that's up to you. You know, 12 hours of work that's pretty physically demanding. Maybe you don't need to work out that day. 12 hours of work where you're not being physically challenged. Maybe you do something that day. Maybe it's just a mobility day and the other days in between are a little harder. It's up to you. But I mean, I've had busy schedules where you still throw in some work. And I will say this, I always, before a long shift, whether it's a morning shift or a night shift, I would work out, right? One, it helped me wake up from previous days. Or two, it helped me stay awake a little longer if it was a night shift work. So think of it that way. Also, a little more alert that way. Any watch recommendations for people attending water-based pipelines? I mean, I personally like this one. I mean, I think it's Casio. Hang on a second. Can't see these little lines here. Yeah, Casio. Whew. That's what happens when you get 56-year-old eyeballs. Casio, stopwatch, timer, alarms. It's got everything I need. It's good for dives, timing your legs of dives, things like that. Morning, coach. Okay. Do you think being from cold places gives you advantage in things like buds? Possibly. It just depends on when you're at buds. I mean, it's a 6-month course, so chances are you're going to be cold, but chances are you could be in the summer, and that sucks too. It gets hot, sunny, sunburnt. But yes, I think cold is one of those things that gets to people. But I will promise you this: air cold and water cold are two different things. All right. It might be 20 degrees outside, but when it's 50 degrees in the water, there's a difference. And 50 degrees in the water sucks really bad, or colder. Let's see. I use Freestyle Shark watches, cool colors, and timers and alarms. Okay, cool. I think everybody's going to have their own favorite watch. I mean, I've used Casio and Timex probably primarily all throughout my workout life. Timex Ironman Triathlon, that's one of my favorites as well. Got another one of those sitting around. Um, so, yeah. Does swimming help with your running times? Well, let me put it this way. I get a lot of runners coming into the pool that can run 5-minute miles no problem, can do it for multiple miles. And then they try to swim and they're shocked that they can't get a lap in the pool without being anaerobic and tired and need to rest. Right. Now, I can't tell you how many times people say, I'll run a 5-minute mile. I can't believe I can't swim a lap. Well, that's because you probably suck at swimming and you need to learn how to swim. So the more efficient you are at swimming, the less tired you're going to be at swimming. But yes, there is a swim conditioning that is also involved. Now, I will say this, coming from a non-running and a non-swimming background, I had to get good at both. When I was getting better at both got better. Right? Does that make sense? Like when I was working on my swimming and started working on my conditioning and doing hard swim workouts, I could feel my lungs opened up better for my running. Um, I mainly for swimming, it's pure technique, and conditioning as well. Um, but yes, will it help it? Yeah, I think so. I think any anaerobic training will help another aerobic event, but you can't rely on one to get better at the other. Does that make sense? They will complement each other well. Um, I mean, you look at triathletes who are great at running and swimming, and then they get on a bike, and you would think, hey, bike's not going to be hard. That's going to be pretty easy. But then they find out that biking really sucks and it's really hard because they're not bikers. So it's a different form of cardio, more leg based. You know, swimming's a little more upper body based. But if you kick too much, you're going to get more tired. So yeah, there's no real good answer for you for that question. Is though once you're getting better and you're learning techniques and you're getting in better, like lower heart rate, resting heart rate, all of those things will make you a better aerobic animal. But you just got to practice all of them if you want to get better at all of them. Pacific is no joke. Do you ever train water polo players? Yeah, we've had water polo players come in. I don't train them to be water polo players. I train former water polo players to become spec ops guys, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not a water polo coach. We have had water polo players join us, and they do quite well, once we teach them how to run. All right, so a couple more questions. How often do you advise to use breaststroke pullout for CSS? Is there an advantage to not using it or dolphin kicking? Thanks. I don't know if you've seen my latest articles. I've actually written an article and made some videos about the pullout. Do you do the pullout or not? In fact, read this article. And it depends. A lot of non-swimming athletes don't do well. I'm going to put this link for you in here in the YouTube section. I'll put it over here in the Instagram as well. The title is "To Pull Out or Not: The CSS Debate." So, yeah, I mean, when I kick off the wall, I have always done a dolphin kick and a double arm pull and transition into the stroke. But I don't lose momentum when I do that. A lot of non-swimming athletes who are just learning that breaststroke pullout don't do it very well, and they just stop in the middle of the water, where you don't want to do that. So for those cats, what I do is I like, look, let's take out the pullout. One, you get an extra breath per stroke per length, and two, you get a you're going to be a little less tired, and you're you're not going to lose momentum, which is the biggest key to swimming fast. So if you don't lose momentum in the middle of the pool and have to recreate it every stroke, that's why overgliding is a killer to your time, and a crappy pullout is a killer to your time. I worked with a guy the other day who we took out the breaststroke pullout, and he dropped 40 seconds off his time just by taking out the breaststroke pullout. Then we, instead of wearing those big board shorts that he was wearing like he's riding a skateboard, he put on some jammers and dropped another 20 seconds. So in about a week, he dropped a whole minute by, went from 9 minutes to 8 minutes by just taking it out. So if that's you, I'd highly recommend it. You don't need to do it, is what I'm saying. If you like to do it, go ahead. I don't think it's necessarily needed. I've been teaching it forever, and in hindsight, I wish I had not taught it, because I would say about 50% of the people I teach it don't pick it up well enough to add it, so we just take it out. What would you say the number one quality the cadre are looking for at SOAS? And in the group type A leaders, how can guys set their own leadership apart from everyone else? Well, I would say it's a combination between just your toughness and your ability to lead others, whether that is leading them administratively, from getting them from A to B as a group on time with all the right gear and equipment, or it's leading them under a higher stress situation where you're in a boat, you got a boat on your head, you got logs on your shoulders, and you're communicating, and people are listening and following what you're saying. Those are types of things they're going to watch you do. And as a boat crew leader, you get to do that. If you're not a boat crew leader, that's okay too. But you can offer ideas to make things easier to your boat crew and your boat crew leader. Those are ways that I would try to make those communications. So I think your communication up and down the chain of command is very important, for them to see that. But then they're going to get a lot of that out of your athletic history, your academic history, your leadership experiences, whether you work or it's all scholastic or team leadership, public service, things like that. And then how you conduct yourself in an interview. Those are really big, and important parts of your selection process. All right, let's see. Said, thanks for doing these. No problem. Glad to do them. I like doing them Monday, Tuesday, same time, 9 o'clock ish, East Coast time. Let's see. Joe has another question here. How much more beneficial would it be to train a variety of swim strokes for SOAS, or should we solely focus becoming experts at the CSS with fins and without? Well, let me tell you this. You're only going to get tested in the CSS with fins and without fins. Now, you're going to do an underwater stroke, you're going to tread water. All those are important skills as well. So if you want to add a variety of things on your pool workouts, add treading and underwater swimming. Never alone, though. What do I say about underwater swimming alone? Don't do it. Though you're not going to have to swim a 50 meter. I think you have to swim like 25 meters and a kickoff. So like 35 meters only. More broadly, what important qualities SEAL officers should show daily during early part of his career? What qualities did you admire most of your commanders and fellow officers? Look, I don't want to say that's a lot of questions about the same topic, but that's a lot of questions about the same topic. Just be a good guy. I mean, don't be a dick. Be competent. Show up on time. Be early. Care for your guys that are under you, that are above you. I mean, support the chain of command just as much as you support everything under that place you are in the chain of command. And just ownership. You own it, right? So anything that goes wrong, you say that's my fault. How can we make it better? I think that is the biggest way to do it versus throwing people under the bus, chewing them out. When you could have maybe created a better environment where they ask for help. Right? If they're too scared to ask for help and they screw something up, that's your fault. Morning, Mr. Stu. Use your phase 1 while losing weight. Now that I've lost 80 pounds. Hey, man, nice work. Good job. I need to use, should I recycle the program to improve my actual numbers or use something else? What's up to you? I mean, that's a pretty long cycle of calisthenics and cardio training. Um, if you feel you need a break, you maybe do like a 6 to 8 week lift cycle or something. But keep the cardio up because you don't want to gain all your weight back. Um, but just change it up so you're not beating your knees up with high mileage or high repetitions, in your elbows and shoulders, just kind of rebuild the joints if you've spent, 6 months or more doing calisthenics and cardio. Just do like a rebuilding phase, 6 to 8 weeks, I think is sufficient, and then get back into that phase one. Now focus on phase one as being a performance tool, not a weight loss tool. But good job because 80 pounds is not easy. Um, Hey Stu, what pace should you run the timed runs on your program? Is it all out, time trial, or just comfortable pace? You know what? I'm going to leave that up to you because there are days when, a timed run is not necessary, but I put timed in there because I'm curious. Like you should be curious too. Like, what is my timed run for this distance? You should know that answer. Um, so yes, it's your best timed run possible. So it's going to suck to run a mile and a half or whatever distance that is. Not as fast as you can, but as fast as you can perform it. Because it's not a sprint. It is now a paced drill that is your goal pace for a timed run event. Now, if you just feel like the intensity of the previous days have just gotten to you and you got really no juice in the tank, nothing wrong with just dropping it down a notch and just hitting, a nice zone two every now and then. I wouldn't recommend doing it all the time because you get too good at running slow if you do nothing but zone two, but you may need it. You may need a little reduction in intensity for a day. What's your experience with like RDAC officer candidates? What is their process like for selecting potential SEAL officers? They don't really select anybody. I mean, they're just a preparatory program like us, right? Do you understand what the Recruiting District Assistance Council is? It is just a group of guys like me who train people to prepare for various spec ops jobs, and they do a good job at making you feel like you're one of the actual students going through selection. Um, but they do well. They create a good candidate. So I mean, you have to meet a certain standard before they give you their recommendation before they think you should leave, which I think is logical. I would say the difference between what they do and what I do is I would say they are more instructors that will tell you you're weak, you're stupid, and you don't belong here. Versus me, I will say you need more work and you need to show up more consistently. Here's where your weaknesses are. Let's fix them. If that makes sense. I consider myself more of a coach than an instructor. I would put them at the instructor more than a coach. One's not better than the other. It's just different. And they put together a tough atmosphere to challenge people in, which I think is good. And I would say if there's a weakness my guys have when they leave here, is they haven't really been exposed to people yelling at them negative feedback because it's exhausting for me to do it. I don't do it. So I'd rather just coach. And they can go to those RDAC events, they can go to exposure weekends and things like that and get a taste of what those things are. So we do that. Another one some of my guys have done is that SOCOM athlete hell week or hell weekend type thing too, just to get a taste of what it's like. Morning, Stu. What are your practices for sports massage and foam rolling, lacrosse ball rolling? I don't do any massage where somebody's actually touching me. Just personal preference. Prefer not to have that. But I do foam rolling. I do lacrosse ball rolling. I don't really have practices to it other than I just like doing it. Sometimes I'll warm up for 5-10 minutes, roll out for 5 minutes, and then get going with a workout, or I'll do it at the end of a workout, or both. I definitely mix in some foam rolling whenever I'm doing our mobility days, where it is 5 minutes of cardio, 5 minutes of stretching and foam rolling. Mix that in there. Um, so it's just something I enjoy doing. It feels good. Is it enhancing my flexibility or mobility? That's debatable. I think the science behind it is pretty valid that it is not necessarily helping a lot of those things, but it feels good. So I enjoy that part especially. Outside of the 50-50, what would the best CSS focused swimming workout you'd advise for the guys? Well, I will tell you this, that 50-50, we ramp it up to hundreds. Um, we do hypoxic freestyle pyramids a lot where you build up your strokes per breath, each 100 or 200. So you do like 4 strokes per breath, 6 strokes per breath, 8 strokes per breath, every 100, 200 yards, get up to 10 or 12 and then come back down. That's a fun little freestyle lung burner that I believe it. The science behind it says it doesn't get you in better shape, but I will tell you this, my resting heart rate is always drops tremendously when I am doing it every day, for about a month. I can tell a big difference in just how open my lungs are. So there's something to it that I enjoy with it. What else? Swimming with fins. So we swim with fins on leg days, and on not leg days, we're either treading, doing pool skills, or 50-50, 100-100s. That's pretty much what we have evolved to. Now, I will say this, there's a couple other workouts we like to do, especially once we're getting a little more advanced in our swimming. There's this one 300-yard workout, 300-yard sets for 5 sets. So it's 1,500 yards. And your goal is to do 300 yards in 5 minutes. You do the math on that, 300 yards, 300 seconds. It's a yard per second. And it's a good way to just check your mid-test range pace. If you can put 5 of those together with a little bit of rest of treading or bottom bouncing in between sets, you got yourself a pretty good swim workout. I remember you was on, I believe, 20 years back, and it wasn't called 2020. It was a show called Fight Science on National Geographic Channel. So yeah, I was in a thing of ice, ran an obstacle course, gun at the end, things like that. So yeah, the show was called National Geographic Fight Science. And I was the cold weather hypothermia test that they did. It was fun, challenging. For a beginner level swimmer, do you recommend starting with a particular stroke or progressing? Or can they all be practiced side by side without much difference? I usually do this. In fact, we have a guy I would consider a beginner swimmer right now. And we are working on him building up to a 500-yard freestyle, finishing one. Right now, he can't swim a full 500-yard swim without having to stop. So right now, we are fixing his freestyle stroke, getting it down, freestyle catch, little flutter kicks, streamline, all that stuff, trying to get him in shape to do a 500-yard swim. Now, once we get 500-yard swims in, then we start mixing in other strokes. We swim with fins. We learn the CSS. We start treading more. All of those things are going to be enhanced by the fact that you can now swim 500 yards without stopping. So I kind of work on the basic technique of one stroke, get them in shape to do that for 10 minutes, whatever that is, nonstop. then start advancing with other strokes. Otherwise, I don't know. It's like if you're a baseball player and someone's teaching you how to throw, you know, how to pitch, and then all of a sudden they say, "Let's see how it looks when you do underhand pitching." It doesn't make much sense. So let's focus one at a time and then get stronger at that and move on. Do you think size matters, such as your weight when you enter buds? I'm 140. How do men do, as an example? You're a little small. I mean, I won't lie to you. I mean, 140. I mean, there may be women showing up to buds at 140 soon. That's a whole different discussion. Um, but we've had little guys at a 130, 140 still make it. So, you're going to probably be in the Smurf zone. If you're taller than 5'8", I would put on some weight, right? If you're not taller than 5'8", I'd still probably put on a little weight, not too much, um, but just enough to handle the load of logs and boats. Because you're 140 pounds, but there's going to be guys 200 pounds lifting the same log and boat that you are. So you need to work on your strength. So hopefully you have some pound for pound wiry strength. The guys I've seen at 140 do really well. Short guys, stocky guys that were also strong. Wrestlers, pound for pound, boxers. Just tough little dudes. That is what I would recommend. If you're a 140-pound runner and never lifted before, that may be a bigger challenge for you. Going through buds, especially the first 4 weeks of buds when you're doing a lot of load bearing. Um, any advice on how to alleviate DOMs? Yeah, I mean, you probably work too hard, and now you're sore for 3 days. That's not necessary. Progress logically is one way to not get DOMs, or at least alleviate it to where it's not debilitating and you feel like you can't work out at all because you're too sore. That's when DOMS becomes ineffective. I mean, you're going to be a little tight, little sore from working out. It just happens, especially if you do something new. So if you're doing something new, don't go crazy with it because chances are that new activity is going to make you sore. If you do the same old activity, but you double or triple the volume, that's probably going to make you sore. Don't do that. Just an option to avoid soreness. But still, you want to push yourself. So there's a. All right, I think you asked me this question last week. What do you think of soft programs like Zach Hughes? Yeah, he's a great dude. I mean, I don't know what his programs are like, but he seems legit. I'm sure he's a good coach. Hey, Stu, does clothing play a big part in the PST? I know you say tight shorts when swimming, but they let you swap into baggy shorts when running. Yeah, you can change out. I mean, you go into the locker rooms to put on all your boots and pants and socks and shoes and tennis shoes, whatever you need to put on. You can wear whatever you want. I would recommend getting out of those tight shorts because that's just not comfortable to do sit ups and run in those things. Ever seen anyone drop the log on their head? Not me personally, but I'm sure it has happened. In fact, you can Google it and probably have seen somebody like severely get injured doing it. And it's usually somebody that's like a football player that was doing some log PT for team building and wound up getting concussion or worse. That's where you see it primarily. I never saw it at Buds. Um, for a beginner level swimmer, do you recommend starting with a particular stroke and progressing? Oh, I think I already answered this one. Just 3 days into 50 beginner program, and my energy levels are already much better. Hey, that's awesome. Feeling sore but alive. Nice work. Sometimes that's all it takes. Just like the title of this show was today. no energy to exercise, try exercise. Sometimes that's all you need. You get a little exercise in there. Sometimes that exercise makes you want to eat better. So you have better fuel for the next day. Because you exercise, you're going to sleep better, you're going to have more fuel and be better recovered for the next day. And it's this cycle that you just keep pumping, right? And as soon as you screw up one of them, you're going to feel it in one of the others. So make sure that three-legged table is standing straight and flat. Stu, my ear pains every time I go for a swim lesson. Is it something I should be concerned about? Are you going deep in the water? Because if you don't know anything about scuba diving and clearing your ears, that could be the problem. Or you could be having some kind of ear infection, just from fluid in there and something funky. I don't know. But is it something to be concerned about? Yeah, I mean, it's something to observe and watch what you're getting into. C Ray, how you doing, buddy? Hope all's well. Let's see. Caleb says, I would like to hear an entire episode from you on this topic personally. I don't know what that topic is. When you say that, you should name the topic because I've talked about several topics already. From early joining Marine Corps soon, reason for weight loss, best way to rebuild while still maintaining PT test numbers? Question mark. Loved your program. Just want to get better the right way. Thank you, sir. Okay. All right. So I had to read that again because a little awkward. Yeah, I mean, just make sure you're doing things in your workout that you're going to be tested in. We do a calisthenics and cardio cycle, and when we're doing a lift cycle, we warm up with calisthenics and cool down with cardio. So we're maintaining all those PT numbers, test numbers, even while we're lifting. So that's how we do it. Even our fall, winter lift cycles, we're warming up with calisthenics. Let's see. What else we goes? I'm 46. I feel like I'm past my prime. Yeah, I would say that. I will tell you this, man. When I was 46, um I felt it, and that's when I started doing mobility days. And if you haven't started doing mobility days, you got to check it out. And all you got to do is look up the term Stu Smith Mobility Day and add that to your week once, sometimes twice a week. And I promise you, it will be life changing. And it's a simple workout. It's 5 minutes of cardio, non impact cardio primarily, biking, rowing, elliptical. You can even swim. And then there's 5 minutes of stretching or foam rolling or massage tooling, whatever that is, if you feel like doing. You do that 5 times, that's about 50 minutes. And I promise you, when you walk out of that gym that day, you're not going to feel any pain or significantly reduced pain. Like for me now at 56, I've been doing that now for about 11 years, and it has been absolutely life changing. My hips don't hurt anymore. Knees, hips, shoulders, lower back, all of it is really good. And then you complement that with calisthenics and lifting and cardio options. And next thing you know, you're doing pretty well. Let myself go and want to get back to running. Yeah, build up slowly. My advice is start off with the mobility days, turn those 5 minute non-impact cardios into 5 minute jogs. Over time, give yourself a couple months of doing that, and you'll see a big difference. In fact, there's a whole series of tactical fitness over 40 that you should check out, and you can Google it. It's over there on Stu Smith Fitness. In fact, looks like I've answered all the questions. Oh, got one more question here. Said I was going to buy your training program in December. Sadly, I got into an accident late December and dealing with some back pain. Would your program still be able to help me? while I'm seeing a chiropractor? Oof, that's tough. Tough question to answer because I don't know what's up with your back. But my advice is anytime you're hurting, don't stop moving, right? Now, you may have to be very delicate with things like lifting things off the ground, but you may be able to use machines. You may be able to do some of the calisthenics, upper body stuff. You may still be able to do squats and lunges, just no weight bearing on your back. I don't know. So keep moving. And if it hurts to run, then hop on a bike, stationary bike, or an elliptical. That's a good one to test out to see if you're running, because I promise you, if it hurts when you're doing elliptical, it's probably going to hurt when you're running. Worse. Where can I find that mobility workout? Well, you can find it on the Google machine, but every one of these workouts that I have a mobility day in it, and it's the same one. I use it for young and old people because for the young people who are doing these jobs, they need to get good at treading and swimming. And guess what interferes with their ability to tread and swim well? Immobility of their hips, knees, and ankles and shoulders. Can't streamline well. You can't get a good kick if your hips, knees, and ankles are tight. It's going to help you. So they're in all my programs. Um, but if you do Stu Smith Mobility Day, Google it. I promise you, you will find countless articles on that topic. In fact, let me Google that for you. So I'm going to go Stu Smith Mobility Day, and let's see what happens. So many articles. I got so many to choose from. In fact, there's this whole Mobility Day walkthrough you can do. Got a video of me actually doing my video day. Um, Mobility Day. How about this? Life changing. I know that's the title of an article. Stu Smith. Mobility Day, life changing. Stu Smith. Adding Mobility Day will be life changing for the young and especially for the old. So I'm going to put this link in here. You guys can read it. It's dated over a year ago, but it's a good one. I wouldn't mind only working on running and arms and ease on sit-ups and squats. Just want to make sure anything else I can do is being progressed. Yeah, my advice is just lay off too many load bearing activities and just do calisthenics. Early 40s, started running again this past fall, got a 10K last week pretty easily. Nice. Started a mile a couple of times a week. That's the way to do it. That is a logical progression. And those first couple of months of 1 miles were rough. Yes. That's the way it is. Imagine if you'd have jumped right into a 10K your first month. That's what a lot of people do, and they wonder why they can't run anymore because they got shin splints and stress fractures and other stuff like that. So don't do it. Are age waivers for SEALs rare? I wouldn't say they're rare, but they're not overly common, if that makes sense. Do you have any guys gone to buds recently? If so, how have they been doing? Yes, got guys graduating buds, got guys in buds, got guys that are about to go to buds. Dozens that are doing quite well. Recent honor man of the class. So I will say this though, I don't take credit for those guys succeeding at buds because my job stops before they go. After that, it's all them. I've seen guys that are complete studs get to buds and not make it because they were cold. Somebody was yelling at them, got in their head. They thought maybe this wasn't for me, right? It is just as much mental as it is physical. Now, I can get people there and help them endure and be durable enough to handle what's going through. But, if they're not very good at working with people under a boat and a log, they're going to get probably run out of that boat, right? Which it sucks. I hate they do that, but That's just the way it is. You're not a good team player, not putting out for your team, you're probably going to get run out. So there's things like that are that only they can control. So once again, I don't take credit for people graduating. Don't take credit, don't take blame for people failing either. So um, let's see here, Stu. Is there any connection between body weight and amount of cold you feel like you've heard? The cold you feel. I feel like somewhere saying if you have very cold, it's because you low thin body fat. Okay, that was a awkward way of asking that question. Sorry. Um, yeah, the thinner you are, the colder you will be. Whether you have muscle mass or a little bit of bulk on you, you will be a little warmer. Still cold, but your core temperature will not drop as suddenly as someone who has no mass protecting their core. So if you're skin and bones, probably weak as well, and probably not going to do well. Being lean is okay, but it's just going to make things a little harder for you when it's cold. It's going to make treading harder. It's going to make floating harder. So, it's okay not to have a six pack when you first get there, right? You can get a six pack later, but you may need that extra bulk just to get through the hell week and cold water stuff. Yes, it is possible to get an age waiver for SEALs. Let's see. Last few questions. I got to go. We've been at this for almost 50 minutes. Are you involved in any guys going into Air Force selection? Absolutely. PC, PJ, CCT, got all types. In fact, I don't know why. Last few years, we've had several go through that program and do well. So, you bet. See, Ray. Thanks for chipping in. All right, one more question. 56-year-old, just like me. Let's see what he's got. I'm wondering what is a good weight to start with when I start rucking. Thanks. Good question. My advice is this: if you don't walk or run, don't start rucking out of the blue. Start by walking, right? Get some mileage of walking built up so you got that handled. Then, if you want to start adding weight, I think 10-pound segments work really well. I would say, a 200-pound guy, you know, build up to like 25% of your body weight. It's 50 pounds. So my advice is start at 10 pounds and then build up to 25% of your body weight in that ruck or on that weight vest. If you're just doing it for fun, I'll be honest with you, I don't wear rucks anymore. I have a weight vest that I use. In fact, this week we're doing a ruck, and I'll wear a weight vest with that one. We're doing about a 9 miler, and in a halfway point, we're stopping off and eating breakfast. So 4.5, eat breakfast, 4.5 back. Just a special ruck day for us. All right. So I guess that's all. If I missed your question, just email me. Stu at stewsmith.com. Happy to answer you by email as well. And also, if you guys want, you can check out this video. If you missed any of it, it's always up on YouTube with all these questions in there and answers listed. And the links that I provided in there as well are over there. But if you go check out stewsmithfitness.com, tons of articles over there, books, programs, workouts that I was just showing you. You can save 15% by using the LIVE15 coupon code. Save yourself a little bit of money. All right, folks, I got to go. Happy Monday, and I will see you tomorrow. You guys have a good one.